US spy satellite images from the 70s and 80s have revealed the dramatic extent of ice loss. Scientists compared those records to today's data and found shrinking glaciers across India, China, Nepal and Bhutan. The worst affected areas have lost the equivalent of almost half a metre of ice annually since the year 2000. The United States has held its first congressional hearing in a decade to explore whether the descendants of slaves should be compensated. Many who appeared argued reparations are a vital part of African Americans achieving justice and closure. But as Manny Tsigas reports, others say it will only deepen the divide between black and white.
Crowds gather on Capitol Hill to witness the next chapter of a debate dating back to the Civil War. Should the United States provide reparations for its history of slavery and racial discrimination?
The greatest damage that enslavement did, besides the economic damage, besides the normalization of torture, of rape, besides the normalization of treating people as though they are things, is the institution in the American mind that black people are necessarily inferior.
Ta-Nehisi Coates, whose article The Case for Reparations reignited the debate in 2014, was one of many high-profile speakers supporting a bill to set up a commission to formally study the issue.
A national reparations policy is a moral, democratic, and economic imperative.
It's also emerged as a serious election issue for several Democrats vying for the White House.
We as a nation have not yet truly acknowledged and grappled with racism and white supremacy that has tainted this country's founding and continues to persist in those deep racial disparities and inequalities today. This is a very important hearing.
But before the hearings even began, Republicans made it clear no reparations bill would pass while they control the Senate.
I don't think reparations for something that happened 150 years ago for whom none of us currently living are responsible is a good idea.
One Republican witness, himself a descendant of slaves, testified over jeers that reparations simply put a price on suffering.
Black people don't need another apology. We need safer neighborhoods and better schools. We need a less punitive criminal justice system. We need affordable health care. And none of these things can be achieved through reparations for slavery.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes.
Others saw it as a further detriment to black people.
Because what reparation does, it points to a certain race, a certain color, and it points them as evil, and points the other race, my race, as one that is not only becomes racist, but also beggars.
The hearing coincided with Juneteenth, a holiday commemorating when Texas slaves discovered they were free, over 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. The timetable for finding a clear-cut solution here remains just as elusive. Manny Tsigas, ABC News.
The top stories on ABC News. Counter-terrorism authorities have arrested a man in Melbourne who they'll allege was undertaking preparations to travel overseas to engage in hostile activities. A former Sydney school teacher accused of murdering his wife has now been charged with the historical sex crime of carnal knowledge relating to a 16-year-old girl. And Britain's Conservative leadership contest has held its latest round of voting. Boris Johnson, Jeremy Hunt and Michael Gove are the last men standing. The Cancer Council is calling on the Queensland Government to close